Hi, I'm Joshua Alexander, mental health freedom fighter. And today I wanted to talk about coming down off the ride of high fat, high protein diets, right? For the last 20 plus years, all the popular health trends have been high fat, low carb, high protein, low carb, right? That's been where all the money's been funding these theories, funding these diet trends, funding these brands, paleo, keto, all the different names of the diets, high fat, high protein, low carb, right? For over 20 years. People have been getting sicker and sicker every year. Um, Humanity's sicker than it's ever been before. They're teenagers with autoimmune conditions, bedridden, can't go back to school. People are just getting sicker and sicker, and the high fat trend train keeps going. So it's a problem because the human body runs on glucose. Every cell in our body runs on glucose. Every cell in our brain runs on glucose. We can't talk without glucose. So I'm using glucose when I'm talking to you right now. We can't think without glucose. We can't move a muscle without glucose. We can't live, breathe, function, exist without glucose, right? When you go to a doctor and they're testing blood sugar to make sure you can stay alive, they're not testing blood fat to make sure you can stay alive, because that's not what keeps us alive. If the brain doesn't get glucose within 5 to 10 seconds, it starts to die. So that doesn't mean we have to be eating glucose every 5 seconds, because our liver and our brain and our body like has glucose in it, stores up. When we eat glucose, our liver stores glucose reserves for when we're not eating glucose, or we still have glucose from the meals that we've eaten before a few hours ago. But the point is, it runs on glucose, right? You'll hear out there, oh, we need high fat. Everything's about fat, 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 fat. The brain runs on fat. The brain doesn't run on fat. The brain has traces of micro oils like squalene, micro omegas, basically just for insulation. That's it. But nutrients can't even enter our cells without glucose. So if we eat a vitamin, that nutrient can't actually go into a cell unless it's attached to glucose. So for anyone who's been on the high fat trend train and has found this information and is looking to taper off the high fat, high protein diets as they start healing so they can get more nutrients in. There's lots of problems with high fat. One of them is you can't get enough nutrients in because the high fat and protein just takes up all the space. So you can't actually get enough volume of the healing foods in. Among many other things, the adrenaline is a huge problem. High fat, high protein causes your body to excrete adrenaline to thin the blood. So people, when they eat fat, they feel better because they're getting that adrenaline rush. And what's going to happen is everyone gets sick eventually, unless they know the proper information to stay healthy. So what's going to happen is people on the high fat, high protein diets, they're eventually going to hit a wall. They're going to be bumping into walls because they're not going to have glucose to function, or they're going to get sick with chronic illness. They're eventually going to collapse or crash, right? Eventually, the ride's going to end, and they're going to be left with, in a worse situation. They're going to have gallstones. They're going to be needing gallstone surgery. They're going to be getting strokes and heart attacks. They're going to be having kidney problems. They're going to be on dialysis later in life. There's going to be problems. They're going to have to face reality. We can't cheat physics, right? The body runs on glucose and mineral salts. So we can't just say, oh, I think it runs on fat now, and then just cheat physics. That's not how reality works. So they're going to end up getting problems from it. So if you want to heal chronic illness or mental illness in this case, because that's what I healed from and what my channel is about, it requires lowering the fats. One of the reasons is, as I was mentioning, our body needs high levels of glucose. Our nervous system needs high levels of glucose. Um, Sorry about that, you guys. Phone was ringing. So what I was saying is that when we have mental illness, symptoms, chronic illness symptoms, our nervous system needs ample amounts of glucose to be healthy and function, like ample amounts. So I'm not talking about table sugar. I'm not talking about candy. I'm not talking about high fructose corn syrup. I'm talking about healthy sources of glucose from fruits and potatoes and squash and raw honey, Okay, so healthy sources. So that's one thing that's important for coming down off of the high fat diet trends. Another thing is with mental illness is toxic heavy metals in the brain play a role, and the high fat prevents the toxic heavy metals from coming out. So in order to get toxic heavy metals out of the brain, there can't be a lot of fat in the bloodstream in the body in order to detox that out. And in the liver, our livers get clogged up with fat. We get sluggish, stagnant livers, and that contributes to illness. And in order to get that out, the toxins out and the toxic heavy metals out, we really need to have a low fat in our diet or no fat. Now, personally, I do no fat, no overt fats, because of the severity of the illness that I had. I felt like eventually, like I started tapering it down, and after a number of years, I went completely overt fat free because I feel better without fat in my diet. And I feel the healthiest, and I can function the best, and I feel really strong and great. So yeah, that's why it's important. So what I would do for coming off of the high fat diet trends, it's important to start building up the trace mineral salts, right? So the celery juice is critical. Doing the daily celery juice, fresh celery juice. I have other videos that talk about celery juice, but that's one of the original medical medium tools that millions of people around the world are doing and healing with, and it's moved the needle on their healing. And start building up those trace mineral salt reserves every day. Our nervous system also needs, in addition to glucose, trace minerals. The neurotransmitters, the chemical compounds that allow nerve signals to jump from neuron to neuron. The building blocks of those neurotransmitter chemicals are trace minerals, and celery juice has those building blocks in there. It also has many other benefits, which you could learn about in medical medium information, restoring the hydrochloric acid, providing a complete electrolyte, knocking down viral loads, many, many benefits. But it's important to build up those trace minerals when you're coming off of those high fats, because trace minerals are very grounding, helps ground your nervous system, which is healthy for mental illness symptoms with the instability that we're constantly facing with the challenges of the illness. It's helpful to have that stability of those trace minerals, right? So I'd be doing the celery juice every day, building up those trace minerals over time. It does take time. So it's going to be, it's not going to be a quick thing. It's going to be a process. And the next thing I would do is the medical medium morning cleanse, right? So the medical medium morning cleanse is fat-free. Part of it is fat-free until noon. It involves the celery juice, the fresh water, the water with fresh squeezed lemon the first thing in the morning to help start flushing out the toxins that the liver's been building up overnight, packaging up for removal overnight. And then the celery juice, and then the heavy metal detox smoothie. But it also involves being overt fat-free until noon. That means no peanut butter in the morning, no bacon and eggs in the morning, no sausage in the morning. So if you're someone who's on standard American diet is high fat, high protein, just standard American diet. Most all the food that everyone's eating is high fat, high protein already, even if they're eating sugar as well. They could be eating candy bars and ice creams and everything, potato chip, everything they're eating has tons of fat in it, usually, unless they're just eating candy. Most people aren't just eating only candy, right? So everyone's mostly on a high fat diet anyway. So if you're eating, standard American breakfast, it's most likely high protein, high fat. So the medical medium morning cleanse is removing those fats. So it's removing peanut butter on your oatmeal, avocado on your toast, bacon and eggs, whatever people, pancakes with butter, whatever people are eating in the morning. I don't even know anymore. But it's taking those out. You could still have fresh fruit. You could still have a fruit smoothie with leafy greens, just without any oils or fats or coconut oil or anything in there. You can still get calories from, healthy sources, fruits and vegetables without the fat, right? No nuts, no seeds, no oils. So that's a good way to start lowering your daily fat intake, and then people still eat fat for lunch, and people eat fat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right? But if you're taking it out until noon, that's lowering your total fat intake for that day. That's one really important tool. The other thing is Just by cutting out eggs and dairy. So eggs and dairy are foods that feed the viruses. It's original medical meaning information. Depression, anxiety, Epstein-Barr virus, you can read about in the books, but um, the viral neurotoxins affect the nerves, and that can create anxiety, can create depression, a dampening of the nervous system, a low mood. It can create anxiety. The vagus nerve gets inflamed from those neurotoxins, gives us a sensation of anxiety. So cutting out the eggs and dairy is, I would do as well right off the bat. When you find medical medium information, you start learning about it, you cut out eggs and dairy. That is removing some fat from your diet because eggs and dairy has fat in it, right? That right off the bat, cutting out those foods that feed the viruses is going to lower your daily fat intake. Then one helpful tool for coming off of the high fats is avocado, because avocado is actually a fruit, and the type of fat in avocado is actually doesn't create as much insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is caused by fat in the diet, blocking the sugar from entering the cells. But the type of fat in avocado is a little thinner. It doesn't cause as much insulin resistance, a little easier for that glucose in avocado to get into the cells. So that's a great tool to try to transition off of the high fat. So if you're normally putting, throwing a fried egg on your toast, you can try putting some avocado instead. Or if you normally put hard-boiled eggs in your salad, you could try to put some diced avocados instead, right? That's a great tool. So yeah, just it takes time. Like I said, as you're lowering the fats, you're bringing in the healing tools, you're bringing in the healthy sources of glucose, you're bringing in leafy greens, the trace minerals with the celery juice. That's, if you can start the heavy metal detox smoothie, that's another amazing original medical medium tool to start getting the metals out. That's going to provide tremendous amounts of nutrients, way more than any multivitamin on the market. The ingredients in the heavy metal detox smoothie, they're food-based ingredients, and they're going to provide ample nutrients, glucose, and mineral salts. That's a good way to start. And then, what I did is when I first found medical medium, I cut out red meat, eggs, dairy. Then eventually I cut out poultry. I was eating turkey. I cut that out. And then I was eating just wild salmon and wild sardines. And then I ended up cutting that out and went completely over it fat-free. And that's how I feel the best with the severity of the type of illness I had with psychosis. I can't have any fats in my bloodstream. The adrenaline surges create energy swings for me. And then it also, the high fat also helps viruses to thrive because it lowers blood oxygen a little bit, and the pathogen, the viruses that cause depression, anxiety thrive. And I need ample amounts of glucose. So I'm eating tons of glucose every day, fruits, potatoes, raw honey, as well as those trace minerals, right? The leafy greens, the celery juice, and so I don't have room for filler foods because I need that nutrient density. And I can't afford extra filler foods, and I don't have the room. I need to get as many of those high dense nutrient foods in me. So but yeah, it's one thing to know is the medical medium information is not one size fits all. Like all the other health information out there, the health trends, it's not one size fits all. So you might be someone who's just experiencing mild depression, anxiety, maybe just doing the morning cleanse, fat-free until noon, bringing in the lemon water, the sour juice, and a heavy metal detox smoothie. That might be enough to alleviate your symptoms, and then you might be feeling fine and functioning, and that's okay. You could just stay there. No one's saying everyone has to be vegan. The medical medium information doesn't say that. There are people that are healing and they're eating meat. So you can customize the information to your situation. If you're dealing with much more severe symptoms like I was, you might have to take it a little further. But yeah, it's you can read in the books the protocols and customize it to your situation, and heal as much as you want to heal. Take it as far as you need to. So, it's not our fault that we get led into the trends out there. So I'm not trying to shame anyone for being on high fat diets. Really not, because it's not our faults. When we don't have answers and we don't know why we're sick and we don't know what to do, that drive in us to try to find answers is a good thing. It's a good thing because we have a will in us to live. We have a will to heal. We have that desire in us, and that's healthy. So seeking answers, and I tried a lot of bad trends over the years. So I'm not judging anyone. We try things, we get convinced into things, and people online, they spread this information, and they don't even really know. They might not even know what they're that it's not good, So, and then we try it, and we have to learn. It's part of being a human being. It's a learning process. So have compassion on yourself. It's not your fault, and you have the right information now, so you have a clear path to follow and steps to take, and you can heal. So God bless you. If you have any questions, you could put them in the comments. I'd be happy to respond to questions. And don't forget to subscribe and like the video if this is helpful. Help support the mission. I'm trying to help people with mental illness heal and climb out of it and become free. So God bless you. I wish you well.